Katt is a funny dude.
Yeah, he is.
You know, I love Katt. It's rare that a comedian could say one word and you know who he is.
My frustration with Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? You had the shot.
You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here.
So something interesting just happened between Damon Wayans and Kevin Hart. These two always had mutual respect and showed love to each other in interviews. But Damon recently praised Katt Williams, and it looks like Kevin feels some type of way about it. Now, why does that matter? Well, if you remember, Katt has openly said some things about Kevin in the past, calling Kevin an industry plant, basically saying that Kevin isn't a self-made comedian, but that he was built and supported by the studios. So now that Damon praised Katt, sources close to Kevin are saying he feels betrayed. But here's the thing, Damon didn't directly diss Kevin, he just gave props to Katt. So now fans are saying Katt clearly struck a nerve when he made those comments about Kevin being a plant, because why else would Kevin get in his feelings like this every time another comedian praises Katt? So let's break it down. Does Damon agree with Katt that Kevin is an industry plant? And how exactly did Kevin respond to Damon praising Katt?
What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people.
All right, let's get into the latest. So there's a clip making rounds of Damon Wayans praising Katt Williams and talking about how much respect he has for Katt being so real and having a unique style in an industry full of fakes.
Katt is a funny dude.
Yeah, he is.
You know, I love Katt. It's rare that a comedian could say one word and you know who he is. As soon as you hear that, you go, that's Katt Williams.
Yeah, man.
The thing is, like, he's special. His point of view is just different.
Right.
I call a great comedian a genius if I can't think of the joke. If I can listen to your premise and I can't guess your punchline, then that's a different take. That's the comedians that I love.
And while fans are loving this and saying it's great to see one comedy legend giving props to another, Kevin Hart isn't too happy about Damon's comments. Sources close to Kevin are saying that Kevin allegedly feels like Damon's praise of Katt is kind of a betrayal, since Katt has openly criticized Kevin in the past, and Kevin apparently sees Damon's shout out as siding with someone who dissed him publicly. And now fans are turning on Kevin and saying that he's clearly bothered by what Katt said about him in that Club Shay Shay interview last year, because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be so quick to get upset whenever someone like Damon Wayans shows Katt some love. And to a lot of people watching, it looks like Kevin's still insecure about those old comments about him being a plant, and that insecurity is making him react every time Katt gets any positive attention. Now, you've probably heard Kevin bragging about how he works harder than any other comedian in the game. Even his bio on X reads, "My name is Kevin Hart and I work hard." That pretty much sums me up. Everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to do the work. But here's the thing, Kevin always talks about his grind and work ethic, but plenty of people have hinted that his success isn't just about putting in the work. But Katt Williams isn't one to drop hints. He straight up accused Kevin of being an industry plant. To put it in perspective, Katt first brought this back up in the early 2000s. That's around the time folks started noticing a pattern where black male entertainers seem to have to do some weird stuff like wearing a dress as kind of an initiation before they could reach the next level of fame. Dave Chappelle was really open about this, and in 2006, he told Oprah that he was asked to wear a dress for a movie with Martin Lawrence.
When I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in a trailer, I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here.
That moment brought a lot of attention to how the industry controls who makes it and how. Because Dave explained, he said no, but the producers kept pushing and telling him all the greats had done it.
Been in a discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave, listen, we got it all set up. We were supposed to shoot every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in.
What's even crazier is that they had a backup plan in case they couldn't break him. And according to Dave, this whole dress thing is not really about the dress itself, but more about celebs being put to the test to see if they will follow orders and do whatever it takes to get ahead.
But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing the dress. I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later. The whole new scene. Hot damn, how did you write the scene so fast?
Now, when they later asked Kevin about Dave's claim that black entertainers get pushed into wearing dresses, he just laughed it off, saying it never happened to him. And while he didn't outright say he'd never wear a dress for a role, he made it clear he wouldn't do anything that would mess with his brand.
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
But less than a year later, Kevin showed up in an SNL sketch wearing a dress, and fans went ballistic, accusing him of selling out. Now, Kevin wasn't exactly struggling before this sketch, but he wasn't quite at the top tier either. He wasn't headlining stadiums or landing major blockbuster roles yet. And while some thought this was just a coincidence or another conspiracy theory, Katt Williams saw it differently. When he was asked about the Kevin SNL dress situation, Katt said it's bigger than just Kevin. It's a whole system, and Kevin was simply playing his part.
Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. And why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
So after the dress controversy, Kevin's Hollywood star just kept rising. Katt, meanwhile, kept running into trouble with the law, and the tabloids had a field day painting him as a wild addict. But fast forward to 2018, and Katt stirred things up again, this time throwing shade at Tiffany Haddish and implying that she's another industry plant. Katt pointed out that there are way more talented black female comedians who never got a chance, and suggested Tiffany only blew up because she's catering to the white audience.
And she passed 46 female black comedians that I know personally that I put on tour who have a hard time getting a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A after they headline 7 shows at a club for $2,500 a week.
But people like real, and that's why they like her.
Is that what they like?
They love realness.
Oh, because everybody's real then. So don't trip.
No.
Is they so ghetto? When did that become marketable? Knock it off. They like her because she want to sleep with a white man. That's why the only thing she said was, I want to give it to Brad Pitt.
But these comments hit a nerve with Kevin, and he fired back at Katt on The Breakfast Club, saying Katt's just bitter he lost gigs because of his substance problems.
Frustration with Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? For you, you became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped you.
Why was he a risk?
He chose.
Oh.
And then Kevin also claimed that, unlike himself, Katt never used his platform to lift up other comedians.
Katt Williams, have you ever used your platform to bring the people that were under you up?
But that's just flat out wrong. Katt has a well-documented history of supporting his peers. He just doesn't go around bragging about it. Let's not forget that Katt invited Monique to open for him on his tour last year after Monique revealed that she was blackballed in Hollywood. Also, remember when actress-singer Melba Moore revealed that Katt paid the $75,000 fee for her Hollywood Walk of Fame star? Now, these are just a couple of examples, but Katt has a long track record of quietly helping his peers. So after Kevin talked all that mess on The Breakfast Club, Katt fired back on IG Live and aired out Kevin for lying about his substance use.
He wasn't there and off making $85 million. I was over here not making $85 million. But it's all good. I don't mind $1 million a month and keeping my soul. Richard Pryor was there to be the king of comedy and a crackhead. They gonna continue to say maybe I am. But again, I urge you, if there's a drug you can do that'll get you Katt Williams level, bitch, you should OD on it tonight.
But fast forward to January 2024, and Katt went after Kevin again in his now iconic interview with Shannon Sharpe. And this time, Katt went all out, claiming that Kevin was the textbook definition of an industry plant. According to Katt, Kevin made it on the East Coast, but was then handed Hollywood opportunities without having to prove himself there.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a stand standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you.
According to Katt, call it the Illuminati or whatever, the reality is that there's a club that runs the business, and you either join on their terms or you'll never hit that top level of success.
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
It's to act like it didn't happen. It's a cabal. It's a consortium. They rock with who they rock with and they don't with who they don't.
And then Katt also said the difference between him and guys like Kevin Hart is that he never took money to stay quiet about certain issues.
Only because I've not taken the shortcuts, I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves.
Finally, Katt claimed that multiple roles were snatched from him and handed to Kevin just because he asked to cut certain scenes, specifically ones that were openly gay.
For a 5-year period, every single movie that Kevin Hart did was a movie that had been on my desk, that all I had said was, just, can we take some of this step and fetch it shit? And then I can do it. Like, it don't need to be overtly homosexual because I'm not homosexual, right? It doesn't need that to be funny, right? And me saying that and them going, oh yeah, no problem. And then going to give it to this other guy and having him do it just like it was. And acting like I'm a bad person because I keep standing on my standard. But
now, as for Kevin, he threw some vague shots at Katt after that Club Shay Shay interview, but he never directly denied the claims Katt has made about him being an industry plant. Instead, he's mostly stayed quiet or sidestepped the conversation. But now with Damon Wayans openly praising Katt, Kevin's reportedly feeling betrayed and salty. But hold up, if Kevin wasn't bothered by Katt's allegations, why get so defensive whenever other comedians give Katt respect? It speaks volumes about how deep those accusations hit. The fact that Kevin won't directly confront Katt but throws shade here and there suggests he knows there's truth in the criticism, but admitting it could cost him everything he's built. So yeah, Kevin might brag about the grind, but when the real talk happens, it's clear that there's a bigger game at play, and Katt Williams isn't afraid to call it out. But what do you guys think about this? Is Kevin really just scared to admit the truth? And how do you feel about Damon giving Katt props? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.